morning and welcome to the news. As usual, Wednesday package packs an extra punch in news, previews, reviews and interviews with the Nigerian story at the front of the desk. We also bring you stories from the international scene as major events unfold around the globe. Tonight, another Trump era beckons in the United States as Republican candidate Donald Trump wins U.S. presidential election in emphatic fashion. President Tinubu and other leaders around the world congratulate Donald Trump on victory. But what is the outlook for Nigerians in the U.S.? Lake Chad Basin. Countries assess challenges and opportunities with future collaboration in the offing. A soldier's soldier marches on. Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff dies after illness. Colleagues and leaders pay tribute to an infantryman never known to take a backward step. Also on our lineup, we have business news with Benny Adams, sports with Bade Adeleye, and candidates face off from Akure with the Ondo election just over a week away. As we say on this bit, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Henry John. This is News Extra. Welcome. World leaders have congratulated Republican candidate and former U.S. President Donald Trump on his victory at the polls. Uche Ugochukwu reports that the leaders promised to work with the re-elected president to strengthen their country's bilateral ties with the United States.
Donald Trump won the U.S. election after securing more than the 270 Electoral College votes needed to win the presidency, and is set to make a historic return to the White House as the 47th U.S. president.
I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me.
Trump won in more than half of the U.S., including 4 key states: Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, 3 of which voted Democrat in the last election. World leaders, even before the final results of the Electoral College, have started felicitating President Trump. France's Emmanuel Macron was among the first to congratulate him on X, expressing readiness to work for more peace and prosperity in his country and the United States. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, in his congratulatory message to the president-elect, said he looks forward to ties in the defense of their shared values of freedom, democracy and enterprise.
With the US is a strong relationship forged in very difficult circumstances historically. It remains as strong today as it was when it was first forged, and I look forward to working with President-elect Trump.
Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu, Chinese Xi Jinping and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, among others, congratulated the president-elect, hoping for better working relations with the US.
Together, the United States of America and the European Union have built an unprecedented partnership.
Similarly, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte also expects Trump's leadership will again be key to keeping the NATO alliance strong. In the meantime, the Republicans have taken the seats back from Democrats after flipping a string of seats. 78-year-old Trump is the second former president to win a second term after leaving the White House. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu extends his congratulations to President Donald Trump on his re-election as the 47th President of the United States of America. President Tinubu looks forward to strengthening the ties between Nigeria and the United States amid the complex challenges and opportunities of the contemporary world. In a statement, President Tinubu notes that together, the countries can foster economic cooperation, promote peace, and address global challenges that affect the citizens. He adds that Trump's victory reflects the trust and confidence the American people have placed in his leadership and congratulates them on their commitment to democracy. President Tinubu believes that given President Trump's experience as the 45th president of the United States from 2017 to 2021, his return to the White House as the 47th president will usher in an era of earnest, beneficial, and reciprocal economic and development partnerships between Africa and the United States. Acknowledging the United States' influence, power, and position in determining the trend and course of global events, the Nigerian leader trusts that President Trump will bring the world closer to peace and prosperity. And now, joining me all the way from Washington with the emergence of Donald Trump is Bruce Duval. Many thanks, Bruce, for joining us.
Hi, Aaron Ray. It's great to see you again.
Wow, great attempt at that name. Now let's get to the business of the day. With the emergence of Donald Trump as the 47th president of the United States of America, what is the mood in the country right now?
I think right now there are a group of people that are very shocked because they paid attention to the pollsters. And I think they haven't learned yet that pollsters almost always get it wrong. There's probably a good argument to be made that there should not be pollsters. It's $1 trillion business. But basically, the people that answer the polls are the people that have the vested interest that trust the pollsters. In this case, they generally tend to be on the progressive or the Democratic side. Trump supporters don't answer polls. Most people I know don't answer polls. So they thought that it was a surefire win. They thought that it was sort of a coronation for Kamala Harris. And I think they're stunned. But I think the magnitude of the victory is very clear. This is not going to drag on. Trump's going to get back in and start working. And I think that bodes well for Nigeria. And I really appreciated seeing and that you read President Tinubu's felicitations, because that's what we need to see. I think President Tinubu understands the international stage, understands prosperity. And I see a golden era of U.S.-Nigerian cooperation coming in. I really do.
But be specific now. What does this mean for the African community and, of course, Nigeria in particular?
I think one of the primary things you can count on for President Trump is President Trump sees China as a worldwide threat to democracy and freedom, no matter where it is. And certainly it's a threat to the United States. It's also a threat to all of West Africa. I think that we will see President Trump reach out to the West African states, most notably Nigeria, and forge a closer friendship. I think the days of ignoring Nigeria and ignoring West Africa and ignoring the entire continent of Africa are over. I think President Trump understands the real political issues that must include Africa if we're going to talk about world peace and world prosperity. I really, truly believe that. I don't think the Democrats have shown any willingness to do anything for Africa but dictate social issues and withhold money. So I think with Trump, we're going to see a change. At least I'm hopeful.
Policy. How will it impact Nigeria and other African nations?
We'll see is a willingness to partner with Nigeria and the Nigerian prosperity. And the greatest asset is not oil. It's the mental and intellectual horsepower of the Nigerian people, the great, vast, untapped reserves of incredibly brilliant people that are ready to assume the leadership in Africa of a technological revolution, of a financial revolution. And I'm hopeful the Trump administration will see that as a groundswell, one, for American prosperity, two, for prosperity for the African diaspora, for Africans, Nigerians in the United States, and three, primarily for Nigeria itself. I think we're going to see closer bonds being formed between Nigeria and the United States that are serious and sustainable. And I think the policies of prosperity are going to reach out across the Atlantic to Nigeria, because it's only going to make America richer if Nigeria is richer.
All right, great. Before I let you go, Bruce, what are Democrats saying at the moment?
Well, right now, I don't think they know what to say. They ran a candidate that no one had ever voted for that was imposed on everyone, sort of a coronation. And frankly, Kamala Harris avoided the issues. She didn't want to talk about the issues. Her campaign was based on the vibe, getting the vibe right, feeling good, dancing, laughing, having fun. And the American people didn't like that. We have some serious issues facing this country. The economy, border security, international standing, the lack of money to solve these issues. And the Democrats, their idea was, let's borrow more money to make money. And the American people are not stupid. You can't create prosperity by borrowing. And so I think the Democrats are very, very unhappy. They lost the Senate. They're going to continue to lose the House. I don't know how long that's going to happen, because historically in the history of the United States, what's called the midterm elections will come, and the Democrats will probably gain some seats back. But I think the Democrats need to learn their lesson. They cannot presume what the American people are going to do, and they cannot avoid talking about the issues. They can't simply turn this into a dance party like it's TikTok and then expect to get elected. That can't happen. The American people are far too sophisticated, too smart for that. And I think the world probably saw that too. Although you, and I think most of Africa, the news you got was Kamala Harris is going to win.
Many thanks, Bruce. Because of time, I think we have to leave the conversation at this point. Many thanks for joining us on News Extra tonight. All the best, Bruce.
Thank you.
All right, so let's deal with home affairs now, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed regret over the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja, after a brief illness at the age of 56. A statement from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation indicates that President Tinubu has directed that national flags be flown at half-mast throughout the country for 7 days in honor of the departed Army Chief. The President appreciates the services of the departed to the nation and wishes the family the fortitude to bear the great loss. Meanwhile, members of the Federal Executive Council under the chairmanship of President Bola Tinubu have honored the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, by postponing the council meeting earlier scheduled for this Wednesday. State House correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab reports on the mood at the presidential villa earlier today.
It came a tale of a refreshing moment ending in heartbreaking mode. The newly appointed ministers who came for their first attendance arrived into the welcoming hands of the old ones. And council members were set for another round of a brainstorming session. But then, the interesting moment was soon short-lived. Vice President Kashim Shettima announced the decision of the council as directed by the chairman, President Bola Tinubu.
We have suspended the council meeting in honor of the late Chief of Army Staff. May you so rest in happy. Let's observe 1 minute silence in his honor.
The nation is in mourning. The president and the entire government is in mourning. He was indeed a very resourceful officer who has put it in best to fight insurgency in this country, and for the many achievements he has succeeded while serving this great nation.
He was a gallant officer, very, very hardworking. He was indeed a warrior. He has served in so many theaters and have done commendably well. It's a very sad loss for the country. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to receive him and to bless him.
We send in our condolences to the family of the deceased and Mr. President, because it's a great loss to this nation.
Major General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja.
Late Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, appointed in June 2023 as the 27th Chief of Army Staff, passed away Tuesday night. Second to die in this capacity in 4 years after late Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, who died in a plane crash near Kaduna International Airport in 2021. The acting Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, visited the President for situation reports.
Very passionate about Nigeria, and he led the Nigerian Army very well. He was courageous. He was known to be thorough and a professional to the core. So it's a big loss to us.
Just a day before, President Bola Tinubu, in his capacity as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, promoted and decorated the acting Chief of Army Staff to a new rank of Lieutenant General. Now, whether he will be confirmed as the substantive head of the army remains to be seen in the coming days. From the State House, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
Many thanks, Ms. Bal. Meanwhile, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has expressed shock over the death of Major General Taoreed Lagbaja, describing him as a fine officer who gave his all for the territorial security and unity of the country. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, has also described late General Lagbaja as a gallant military officer, noting the achievements recorded in a short period he served as Chief of Army Staff. Similarly, former President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed sadness over the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, describing him as a patriot and an outstanding officer who served the nation with utmost diligence. In the same vein, Nigeria Governors Forum joins President Bola Tinubu and the rest of the country to mourn the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja. In a statement, the NGF chairman and governor of Kwara State, Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, says in a quote, "Our hearts are especially with the family and the Nigerian army at this difficult moment. We are comforted by the unforgettable memories of his unblemished services to our country." Meanwhile, chairman of the Northern States Governors Forum and governor of Gombe State, Muhammadu Inuwa Yahaya, has also conveyed his condolences to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Nigerians over the demise of Lieutenant General Lagbaja, a Chief of Army Staff, describing him as a distinguished officer who served the nation with remarkable courage, commitment and dedication. Also, the Minister of Defense, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, and Minister of State for Defense, Bello Muhammad, have also condoled with the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, the Nigerian Army and the family over the demise of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja. Also, Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, has paid a condolence visit to the widow of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja. She was accompanied on the visit by wife of the Vice President, Hajia Nana Shatima, and wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, Ogogo Musa, commiserating with the widow, Maria Lagbaja. The First Lady describes the death of Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja as a big loss to the nation, especially at a time the Nigerian Army, under his leadership, is putting everything on the line to tackle insecurity in the country. She says the late Army Chief left worthy legacies that the family and the nation can be proud of, and prays for the repose of the soul of the departed, while asking God to strengthen his widow and family at their grieving moment. Our defense correspondent Ismail Musa gives a biography of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja.
That Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved payment for the initial 12 MD 530 Foxtrot KU's attack helicopters.
Born on February 28, 1968 in Lobu, Osun State, he attended St. Charles Grammar School and the local authority teachers college before admitted to the Nigerian Defense Academy in 1987 as a member of the 39 regular course. The late Chief of Army Staff was commissioned as Second Lieutenant on September 19, 1992, joining the Nigerian Army Infantry Corps, an alumnus of the prestigious U.S. Army War College. He earned master's degree in strategic studies, demonstrating his dedication to professional growth and excellence in military leadership. He played a pivotal role in numerous internal security operations, including Operation Zaki in Benue State, Lafia Dole in Northeast, Udoka in Southeast, and Operation Forest Sanity across Kaduna and Niger states. He was appointed Chief of Army Staff by President Bola Tinubu on June 19, 2023. Until his death, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja served as Nigeria's 27th Chief of Army Staff. His death marks the second time in 3 years a Chief of Army Staff has died while in office. He is survived by his wife, Maria Biodun Lagbaja, and 2 children. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Taurid Abiodun Lagbaja was a Nigerian Army Lieutenant General who served as the Chief of Army Staff of Nigeria, appointed on 19th June 2023 by President Bola Tinubu to succeed Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya. Now let's take a quick look at his life and times in numbers. Thank you for staying with us. As it marks 2 decades of impactful service, MTN Foundation has unveiled a fresh logo and mission statement, reaffirming its commitment to uplifting lives and empowering communities across Nigeria. Since its inception, the foundation's various initiatives have impacted more than 31.4 million lives across 3,389 communities in Nigeria, solidifying its role as a leading force for social development. Musa Abubakar will tell us more.
20 years ago, MTN Foundation began with a vision to create transformative impacts in Nigerian communities through sustainable projects and initiatives. Since then, the foundation has reached countless lives, striving to bridge gaps in education, healthcare, and economic empowerment across Nigeria. Today, stakeholders gather to mark this milestone, a moment to reflect on the foundation's journey and to reveal a refreshed look and purpose that will drive its next chapter.
We are driven by the belief that harnessing the collective potential of the private sector, we can contribute significantly to national development goals.
Buoyed by our achievements over the years, we reaffirm our dedication to translating this vision into meaningful, sustained improvements in lives of people in the communities we serve.
By providing scholarships, supporting maternal and child health, and helping young people develop skills for the future, MTN's initiatives build resilience in our communities and create pathways for sustainable growth.
The unveiling of the new logo and mission statement represents MTN Foundation's commitment to continue building a brighter future for Nigeria. For over 20 years, MTN Foundation has supported education, healthcare, and economic empowerment, enhancing schools, healthcare facilities, and entrepreneurial skills in underserved communities.
We have repositioned for the next 20 years, and we are building an MTN Foundation that is future fit and that will do much more.
As MTN Foundation enters its 3rd decade, it remains committed to serving as a beacon of hope and progress for all Nigerians. In Abuja, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
In other news, the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, in collaboration with the United Nations, is developing a strategy to expand the scope of information dissemination on social safety nets of the renewed hope agenda of President Tinubu's administration. A technical workshop at the headquarters of the ministry brought together relevant stakeholders to review the social protection communication strategy. Salihu Gwanara reports.
In the implementation of the renewed Hope 8-point agenda, effective communication is crucial. Therefore, this workshop is to identify and address gaps, develop targeted messages, build trust, and strengthen feedback mechanism on the journey so far. In a message, the Minister of Information and National Orientation acknowledged the deliberate efforts by the Tinubu administration to prioritize social protection through programs such as the conditional cash transfer, school feeding program under the National Social Safety Net, already impacting millions of Nigerians.
These efforts can only reach their full potentials if we successfully connect with the communities that stands to benefit. This is where communication becomes indispensable. By crafting clear, relatable, and culturally relevant messages.
It was agreed that the UN should work with all the stakeholders, especially led by the Minister of Information, to work on a communication strategy or approach that will enable Nigerians to understand the commitments of government, what they are benefiting, and how the government is trying to solve their problems.
Look at the question asked. How many households have been touched by the social investment? People don't know. So we need to now be strategic in pushing out the information and explaining programs and policies of government, especially the ones that touch the less privileged, the downtrodden, because that is the mantra of this government.
75% of our people are young people, and so you will not find them watching TV or listen to it. If they are watching TV, they are not watching news. They are watching music and movies. And so we need to reach them through the channels that they are used to.
At the end, a draft communication strategy is expected to communicate the work, values, and priorities of the renewed Hope government. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Meanwhile, to showcase opportunities, attract diaspora investment, underscore the strategy for attracting inward investment in the emerging diversified Nigerian economy is the focus of the 7th Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit in Abuja. Deborah Balagbo reports that this year's summit, which has as its theme adapting stability through diaspora investment, navigating the path to prosperity, hopes to establish matchmaking business opportunities.
The 3-day summit is a wake-up call for diasporans to invest in the various potentials and mineral resources with the hope of building the economic growth and development of the country.
I mean, we keep talking about remittances. Beyond remittances, about investing in your own country. And we believe that we've achieved a lot of success in the last few years. We have a lot of pitching sessions. There are those who have pitched and have been able to get investors into their businesses.
Each edition has built on the momentum of the previous one, in turning ideas into thriving business and empowering small and medium-sized enterprises with the resources that they need to succeed.
That the ministry is called to all the foreign missions, all the foreign trade and investment missions that Nigeria has been involved with, and that I should encourage you to pull yourself together to also bring trade missions from your region and your country to Nigeria.
The diaspora plays a critical role in any nation's development. You, our brothers and sisters abroad, are an indispensable asset to a great nation. You are ambassadors of Nigeria in your respective countries and torchbearers of excellence, innovation, and resilience.
I believe that
that you have been here will not give you that full sense of belonging and attachment to the issues we have in investments in this country called Nigeria, our dear country.
I want you to continue to leverage your expertise and networks to drive more investments to your motherland.
Highlights of the summit include pitching sessions by various investors and tour of exhibition booths. In Abuja, Deborah Balagugu, NTA News.
And joining us now to speak on diaspora investment is Executive Chairman and CEO, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM. Many thanks for joining us, Abike Dabiri Erewa.
Thank you very much and good evening. Nice to be here.
All right, let's talk about this summit. What is the focus and why is it important at this time?
Well, the theme, as you saw, is adapting, stability through diaspora investment. We've been talking about remittances. In the last 5 years, over $90 billion remittances, which is huge, huge, almost 6% of our GDP. But beyond remittances, the diaspora needs to invest in Nigeria. So we felt there should be a platform to get them together to come home and see what they can do. We're proud that we've been able to do this for 7 years, and it's going bigger and better. So tomorrow we have a pitching session for real estate and infrastructure, as well as education and professional services. And the last, today we did so much on a whole lot of areas, agribusiness and all that, and we touched on the creative sector of the economy. So there's so much the diaspora can do. So this is different because there's a pitching session where people come and pitch their businesses, and guess what? They get support. A guy who participated last year came to give his testimony, and a whole lot of them. So it's about encouraging the diaspora to invest back home. We're not saying pack your bags and come home. We're saying wherever you are, let's collaborate. Wherever you are, we can work together. If others are investing in Nigeria and you are all out there doing so well, you can invest in your country. So a whole lot of them came from all over the world, America, UK, Africa, here, Asia, to see what they can do. And we're seeing progress in the areas of particularly agriculture, ICT, the food business, and education. So ours is to create that platform where we can have the conversation and then take the next step. So it's very important that we do not and cannot ignore our diaspora. And the beauty of it is their own passion, saying, you know what, it's our country, and we do what we can. Just 2 weeks ago, I was in Lagos at the commissioning of one of the first post-rehabilitation hospital in Nigeria, in Lagos, set up by a Nigerian in the diaspora who left everything in America to come and set that up. And many like that are coming up. So it's about encouraging them, working with them, and then trying to solve the challenges along the way. Are there challenges? Of course there are, but particularly the issue of bureaucratic bottlenecks and all that. And government will also play its own role, infrastructure, security and all that, which this administration is working on. So we will continue to work with our diaspora and encourage them to invest in their own country.
Fantastic. Listening to you, very excited about, all of this. But what really is the big picture if Nigerians in the diaspora take advantage of these investment opportunities that you're presenting with the summit?
If
Nigerians in diaspora take advantage of, what you're projecting with this summit, what would be the benefit as a whole for the country and, of course, Nigerians in general?
It's going to help our economy. It's going to help our stability. It's about Nigerians investing in their own country. Look, a lot of Nigerians, take the healthcare industry, are bringing their hospitals back here. They're setting them up. A lot of them are going into agriculture. The governor of Niger State was in Canada. We were with him in Canada, and he offered them hectares of land, about 100 hectares of land. And guess what? They came home to say, we want to take that offer up. He offered a gentleman to take up a building that he can use as a hospital. He's taken up the offer. So they are our people. They are the diaspora. They are developing world economies, so they can develop their own economy. So it's about just saying, engaging them. When Ireland was in recession, 2,000 Irish came together and saved Ireland from recession. We can do much more with our diaspora. And that is why NIDCOM is about engagement, engagement, engagement. The diaspora represents three things: our social capital, because they are #1 ambassadors. Our intellectual capital, because they are the best in everything they do all over the world. And then our economic capital, because of the money they are sending in and the investments they are, bringing into Nigeria. So all we have to do is work with them, encourage them, and be a bridge between them and the home country.
Like
and
what NATCOM
we are
is
achieving
doing.
results.
Fantastic. Many thanks, Abike Dabiri-Erawa, Chairman and CEO of NATCOM.
And
Many thanks for being our guest.
sorry, just before you leave, my deepest condolences to the late Chief of Army Staff, General Taoreed Lagbaja. May so rest in peace. And the Almighty God console and condole his whole family and the military.
Amen. Many thanks, Madam. So that will be all for now. News Extra continues, and now the Office of the National Security Advisor and the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children are working modalities to return 10 million school children to school. The Friends correspondent, Ismail Musa, has all the details.
There are more than 15 million out-of-school children in Nigeria roaming the street, sometimes in search of food and shelter. These school-age children are often exposed to crime, different risk, and social vice.
Share experiences and insights.
The federal government, through the Office of the National Security Advisor and the National Commission for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children Education, is working to turn the tides. This program is focused on charting the way forward for out-of-school children in Nigeria.
The idea of achieving sustainable development goals is tied to providing quality education for children across the 776 local governments of Nigeria. Educating the children, who are the youth of our future, will play its role boosting national productivity, economic growth and development, as well as mitigate the scourge of insecurity that plagues the Sahel and West Africa sub-region.
What has happened in Borno State and in some part of the north in the name of Boko Haram was actually a product of ignorance and illiteracy. So the NSA, out of his passion, felt that we should come together so that the insecurity will be addressed via, education.
All the stakeholders are here. We now get their opinions, their inputs. We realign our priorities to make sure that we work on the most impactful ones and deliver within a short time.
The Commission, with support from Office of the National Security Advisor, is in the process of returning 10 million out-of-school children back to school. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And joining us in the studio is the Executive Secretary and CEO for Almajiri and Out-of-School Children, Dr. Idris Sani. Many thanks, Dr. Sani, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the Commission says it is committed to mainstreaming 10 million out-of-school children back into the educational system within the next 4 years. What strategies have you put in place to achieve this?
Thank you for having me. I want to start by saying that Mr. President is passionate about the plight of the downtrodden Nigerians. His Excellency has made commitment, and he is someone who is known for matching his words with action. He has given us directives that at least 10 million Nigerians that are today out of school must go back to school. And it is on this note that we are bringing people from across the 36 states so that together we will come up with a roadmap that has the capacity of addressing this problem. It's not only about out-of-school children, but it's also about Almajiri. You are not oblivious, for sure, of the fact that Boko Haram has linguistically manipulated Almajiri, who are not in any way understanding the text of the Quran correctly, and have decided to give them interpretations that are not in concordance with the true exegesis of the verses of the Holy Quran that gave them the audacity to take arms against the government. In Nigeria, His Excellency the President is no longer willing to allow any Nigerian to lose his life because someone has imbibed in him illiteracy and has taken up unto himself the love to take weapons against Nigerians. So what we are simply doing today, we are coming up with a very beautiful roadmap that has the capacity of addressing this problem. The issue of Almajiri and out-of-school children problem is a trans-border issue, and when we come up with this strategic plan, we will definitely be able to address this problem, and then we have a model for other neighboring countries to emulate from.
Now, your office is partnering with the Office of the National Security Advisor. What areas are you looking at in terms of collaboration to achieve the aim of the federal government in returning 10 million children back to school?
You know, the recent protest in Nigeria has made us to understand the more that people are taking advantage of those children that are not attending school. And then parents are giving birth to children and are abdicating their responsibilities by taking them to Malon for training without any means of sustenance. So in the wisdom of the NSA, he felt that his work wouldn't be successful without coming together with to partner with our commission. And that is why today we are coming together to discuss ways and possibilities of addressing this problem, part of which is what we are now planning to have in the next month in Kaduna, where we will bring together the out-of-school children in Al-Majri and give them the type of skills they deserve to have. Poverty is also one of the factors that is actually militating against their return back to school. We are looking at the ways when, how parents will be supported to make sure that their children are back.
All right, because of time, let's quickly round up the conversation. But I hear that some marshals have been inaugurated in the FCT. What roles are expected of them in assisting to drive this initiative?
Pardon?
Some marshals were inaugurated. Yes,
we directed them to go around Abuja municipal and mop out children so that they will be enrolled back to school. They have successfully, and within a period of 3 weeks, to mop out over 22,000 children. And now we are talking with the administration of the FCT to take them back to school. We are glad to say that the Honorable Minister has given us a positive note that he will support us in taking them back to school. This is actually a pilot program, and we wish to replicate same across the 36 states. In a very short distance, we'll be able to take back these 10 million Nigerians that Mr. President is willing to see them back to school.
All right, many thanks, Dr. Mohammed Sani Idris, for joining us on News Extra. Wish you all the best, and of course, hope to have you back.
Thank you.
All right, so that's on out-of-school children, and let's see this news now. Of course, it's no longer news. The tragedy struck in Obada Idi Emi Imeko Afon local government area of Ogun State when a student, Mande Arijo, died after serving corporal punishment in school. In a swift reaction, Ogun State government shut down the school, suspended the principal, and arrested the errant teacher, while a committee to unravel the circumstances surrounding the death of the boy is now in place. Hakim Jimo has more.
The death of Monday Arijo is indeed a lifetime trauma for his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Arijo, as they mourn their son, an SS2 student of Obada Grammar School, Obada Idiemi, who died in pain, having been flogged by 8 teachers in the school for an offense he allegedly did not commit.
Monday explained that the principal called the students to assembly ground and told them not to break the waste bin basket. That one of the students said, after all, the basket was bought with their money. The principal then brought out canes for the teacher to flog at random the female students.
One of his senior brother also was in the school, so they called on him to come and escort him to their house. Getting home, he fainted again.
When I saw my brother, he was fuming from his mouth. He was no longer himself. I asked him what was happening to him, and he replied that he could not comprehend what was happening either.
NTA News gathered that the deceased student was also compelled to do frog jump 164 times, which led to the deterioration of his health. Since the demise of 18-year-old Monday Arijo, residents of Obada Afon are yet to come to terms. They are still in sober mood. Monday Arijo hit his head on this platform before he met his untimely death. Parents of the deceased say they are leaving everything to God, while concerned authorities want justice to be served.
Shutting down the school may not be the solution to avoid bad name, because good names are better than riches. God should please help us to resolve the matter and immortalize Monday Arijo. We are not in dispute with anybody.
I don't think such things can still happen in the secondary school again, because the life has, has civilized more than beating students to that extent.
Even though the body of the deceased is in the morgue at the Federal Medical Center, Idiaba, Abeokuta, the Harijos family have prepared a final place of rest for Monday.
Ogun State government should please intervene in the matter by punishing those to be punished and plead with the family of the deceased to be buried the hatchet. I believe that this will serve as deterrent to others not to enforce corporal punishment on pupils or students.
Ogun State government has sent 2 separate delegations to commiserate with the family of the deceased.
In as much as we wouldn't want to discourage them from doing their work, but we want them to do it in accordance with the rules of the game.
Meanwhile, the suspects are in police net while investigation is going on. From Obada Idiemi in Imekoa for local government area of Ogun State, Akim Jimo, NTA News.
This is News Extra. Time for another break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has urged electricity distribution companies in Nigeria to prioritize the rights of consumers in electricity metering processes. The Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, FCCPC, Tunji Bello, said this during a meeting with key stakeholders from Nigeria's electricity sector, where he emphasized that DISCOs must bear the cost of replacing meters without imposing additional charges on consumers, especially during this transition phase. He condemned the widespread practice of placing consumers with faulty meters on estimated billing, describing it as a violation of NEC's regulation.
Randomly subjected to estimated billing. This engagement will also address broader issues surrounding metering in the industry. This includes non-reimbursement for meter purchases, delays in meter installations, and repairs.
What are we trying to do in the sector? We are trying to have revenue assurance. We are trying to say that, okay, these are modern meters, they are smart, they can record your consumption, and at the same time, make sure the DISCO does not lose their investment.
After what can be described as a challenging task of sifting through highly competitive entries, a short list of 3 potential winners in the Every Home a Garden competition is now ready, well ahead of the D-Day in December. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, announced this after joining other board members of Renewed Hope Initiative and friends of the organizer of the competition at a screening session in her office, where winning entries from the states and the Federal Capital Territory were presented for assessment. With many of the entries aligning with the objectives of the competition, the First Lady says selecting the best 3 is a difficult task for the panel of assessors. Happy at the level of enthusiasm shown by Nigerian women towards the competition, the First Lady notes that her message on their critical role in achieving the broader national agenda of strengthening the agricultural sector is now hitting home. While applauding the quality of the entries, the First Lady says apart from the overall winner, there will be compensation for other impressive entries.
The process has been rigorous, and it was quite interesting because they all did their best. And I'm quite impressed. And we didn't even know what to pick, but they all did absolutely well.
She's looking into a particular message that you can feed yourself, then later on to share it with your neighbor. So they have done us proud.
One would never have thought that somebody could use an old tire, and some of them use sacks, and what they presented was amazing.
It's going to be very hard to pick a winner because even narrowing it down to the top 3 already today, where we left it, was quite difficult.
In a source of inspiration to other women in the competition, her lush green garden in the villa continues to attract visitors who can now resist the fresh varieties of vegetables it offers. The winner of the competition, which started in February this year, will be unveiled in December 2024. As climate change continues to disrupt the global ecosystem, with Nigeria having a fair share of the negative environmental impact, Association for Consulting Engineers in Nigeria are working to surmount this threat through innovative solutions that will guarantee sustainable development. Joel Popola reports that the 46th annual conference of the association, with the theme Sustainable Development, Building Resilient Cities, is a proactive step to mitigating the impact of climate change.
A premonition that all stakeholders treated with levity is the climate change, which has become a menace to the ecosystem. This unwanted narrative has made cities vulnerable to flooding and other man-made disasters. Founded in 1971 and registered in 1979, the Association for Consulting Engineers in Nigeria, ACEN, a body of registered independent, private and professional engineering consultancy firms, is amplifying the need to be proactive through its annual conference hinged on sustainable development, building resilient cities.
Definitely come up with various innovation solutions and strategy for implementing resilient cities that will withstand the environmental and ecological effect that is being experienced.
With the world moving towards a circular economy and other initiatives that ensure a safe environment, ACEN members are also recalibrating their services through compliance with best environmental practice.
I think one of the things that we also have to do is continue to partner and look for the input of engineers who have international collaboration and are locally present here. And this is what ACEN is about.
We can make sure that we do not keep on repeating the mistakes of the past, so we must have a cut-off line. We will no longer do this from this point on. What we have done in the past, we will try to remedy. Going forward, we will not do that anymore.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, represented by the Special Assistant on Work, says the state is ready to key into the paradigm shifts being championed by ACEN through the conference. The takeaway from the 2024 Annual General Meeting and 46th Annual Conference of ACEN is expected to provide a better approach for urban development. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
In other news, considering the complex nature of security within the Lake Chad region, scientists, researchers and other stakeholders of the Lake Chad Basin have come together to propose solutions for the region's development and stabilization. Elizabeth Omori reports that the adoptable recommendations include political stability, women inclusion in governance, and massive investment in agriculture.
Activities of extremist groups, conflicts and natural disasters have made the Lake Chad region a dreaded area. Millions displaced and property destroyed. The horror still unending. The recent Maiduguri flood is a stark reality of the environmental challenges in the area. Addressing these challenges in the Lake Chad have brought experts from within and outside the region to identify areas needing attention and share technical advice for long-term pragmatic solutions.
We need to have strong funding. We need to have synergy, especially with the donor partners, with the local communities, and some of the towns that are around the Lake Chad.
A case of displacement crisis in northeast Nigeria, according to IOM, is complex, with more than 2.3 million people displaced by violence linked to actions of non-state armed groups and clashes.
Our governor was able to establish a forum of reconciliatory forum, and it was passed by the House of Assembly to avoid enmity among citizenry. So when you talk of reconciliation, at least they will end up in a smile.
All the time that we have been having problem, either farmers, herders, or whatever, even the common family problem, we normally apply the dialogue. We bring the two parties together and sit down, hear from all of them, and then resolve their own problem.
Other recommendations include trust building, support for livelihoods, and mitigating environmental degradation. From N'Djamena, Chad, Elizabeth Omori, NTA.
Let's pause here. More news in a bit. Thank you for remaining with us. Now time to talk business. Benny Adams is here. Benny, feed us.
On talking business, in a bid to boost activities in the mining industry, the Solid Minerals Development Fund has started the process of funding early-stage exploration in Nigeria. Executive Secretary of the fund, Fatima Shinkafi, made this known when she received the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals, who were on oversight visit to the agency.
We've achieved a partnership with a development finance institution to fund early stage exploration. This is significant because we're at that emergent stage of the mining sector where data to attract investment, both local and foreign, is important.
Now, trading activities are expected to increase in the confluent state as the Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority, NABZA, grants Kogi State Government's request for an industrial park and special economic zone to fully harness the business potential in the state, in line with the federal government policy of subnationals attracting investors to boost internally generated revenue. Bosedebo Amosu reports that Managing Director of NABZA says the request will come to effect once all paperwork are completed.
We are going to generate employment for this state. The employment will generate taxes, pay taxes, some transfer of technology, training local people to various technologies that come to power.
It's important to us because Kogi State, as you know, is blessed with a host of solid minerals and commercial resources. We also have huge agricultural potentials in the state.
Now, talking MSMEs, prospective beneficiaries of the presidential 75 billion naira intervention fund have been urged to raise their living standards and create enabling pathways to increase investment by accessing the federal government's loan to upscale their businesses. This was at the official launch and sensitization of the 75 billion naira intervention fund for MSMEs held in Enugu and Akwa Ibom states.
We'll use the funds properly and would also ensure that they refund the money back to the bank.
Businesses that can benefit from this fund must be registered under the Corporate Affairs Commission. There's a maximum loan amount to each business of 1 million naira.
Now, a quick look at the market. Investors lost 337 billion naira as the Nigerian equities market experienced a downward trend on Wednesday, reversing the previous day's gains due to sell-offs observed in some banking stocks. As we can see, the volume of stocks traded in the market today is 418.3 billion in 9,021 deals, and the total value of these transactions was 10.04 billion naira. We can see the equity capitalization is 58.5 trillion. Talking about the all share index now, at the end of transaction, it rested at 96,567.24 basis points, which explains the downtrend in 0.57% of the market. A quick look at the top trades at this point in time. Sterling Bank came tops. Yesterday, Sterling Bank was on the third spot, but it made its way to the first spot today, followed by UBA and Access Co. Talking about banking stocks doing really, really well. Now the market breadth closed negatively at about 0.01% plus, with 21 losers against 20 gainers, and 83 equities actually remained unchanged. That is it on business. Yeah, you can take it from here.
Well, thanks, Benny, for the numbers. Let me also inform you that building a healthier, more sustainable and food-secure future requires collective action. This is why the FCT School Gardens Debate and Stakeholders Roundtable brought together students, educators and development partners to weigh in on the country's food systems transformation. Neka Oko reports.
Nigeria's food system is at a critical juncture, grappling with malnutrition, climate change, and food insecurity. But a new generation of leaders is rising to the challenge. National Convener of the UN Food System Transformation Implementation Pathways, Dr. Sanjo Faniro, notes that initiatives like the School Garden Debate foster a generation aware of these challenges and empowered to develop solutions.
Nutrition and food security can only be achieved if we initiate a collaborative approach that brings all stakeholders in the food value chain together, for each actor to focus and aggressively pursue the achievements of their responsibilities in the food system from the farm to the dining table.
Young people are actually very innovative. We have fresh ideas, and this is what we're actually bringing on board.
Stakeholders in the food value chain laud the initiative, calling for increased advocacy in tackling Nigeria's food security challenges to promote healthier diets.
When you have debates like this, you keep the public talking. And when you start talking, awareness comes to play.
We believe that school feeding is a powerful tool to combat hunger, improve nutrition, and enhance educational outcomes.
The theme of the school debate and stakeholders roundtable is cultivating minds, growing solutions, youths at the forefront of food systems innovation in Nigeria. In Abuja, Naikauku, NTA News.
Guided by the mantra of facilitating legitimate trade within the port community, the Apapa Command of the Nigeria Customs Service said it has extended operations to 7 working days so as to fast-track clearing of cargoes. The Customs Area Controller, Babatunde Olomu, said this initiative is instrumental to the increase of revenue by 101% between January and October this year. Michael Olaleye brings us details.
That obligation, in which unwholesome pharmaceutical and controlled drugs were falsely declared. Of special interest to the customs is this particular drug, which the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, confirmed is entering the nation's ports for the first time, appreciating the Apapa Command for vigilance and sporting the item despite concealments.
It's a combination of 2 drugs that is as dangerous as cocaine. So we are bringing this to the notice of Nigerians that such things have started coming in. They should be careful.
For the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, the seizure of 1x40 food container of expired drugs by the customs complements its role of safeguarding the health of the nation. The euphoria for the Apapa Command is not just in generating more than 1.8 trillion naira within the last 10 months, which represents 101% increase from 2023, but expanding the scope of facilitating trade.
In line with the federal government agenda of ease of doing business, the command operates on Saturdays and Sundays to ensure that importers take delivery of their cargoes devoid of any delay. It is noteworthy to state that just last week, the command facilitated the first shipment of cargo to Kenya under the AFTA regime.
The Apapa Command of the Nigeria Customs Service said new initiatives at the ports are increasing compliance level due to frequent stakeholders' engagements. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Away from the center of excellence now, Abuja, Nigeria's capital city, is rapidly modernizing, but with some underutilized infrastructure, like the FCDA Southern Parkway Underpass Bridge. However, Gimba reports that many residents of the FCT are unaware of this facility, as many say lack of awareness might be due to inadequate signage or information dissemination.
The Capital Territory infrastructure development is ongoing, but some facilities remain underutilized. This goes to say that the efforts of the Federal Capital Development Authority aimed at creating a well-planned city may end in futility. One of such facilities is the Southern Parkway Underpass Bridge, designed for pedestrian safety, which remains unknown to many and abandoned by those who have the knowledge. Speaking with those crossing the popular FCDA Southern Parkway Express, this is what I got.
I've been using this road for like more than 5 years. This place has not been accessible for us to be using.
I didn't see pathway here. Where is it? Okay, this one.
And maybe this one is easier, but look at how the cars are running. Look at how they are running, but this one is easier, and this one you cannot notice it.
Like me, I don't even aware of it because most times we used to use their place before they lock it.
Some residents suggest raising awareness through signage and education that will encourage effective utilization. A good signage and enforcement, as well as mobile court and payment of fine, is suggested.
Pedestrians are not expected to be running across, the road because it's an expressway. Now, the underpass is provided to connect the offices that are on the western side to the offices at the eastern side. And so the underpass was provided so that pedestrians will not have to be running across the road and they follow the underpass.
Hawagimba, NTA News.
Many thanks for that report. Now let's see other news. Of course, talking electoral matters now. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has appealed to political parties in Ondo State to maintain peace throughout the election process, emphasizing the importance of a harmonious environment before, during and after the governorship election. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, was speaking during an assessment of the mock accreditation exercise, which took place in various wards within Akure South and Idori local government areas of the state. Ifeoluwa Omoshule reports.
Accreditation of voters, which is the main process that precedes voting, is one of the crucial aspects of every election, as it helps to verify the eligibility of voters, to examine the workability of the bimodal voters accreditation system, BVAS, which will be deployed for the Ondo State governorship election. The Independent National Electoral Commission conducted a mock accreditation exercise in 6 local government areas in the 3 senatorial districts of the state. Some of the accredited voters who described the process as satisfactory also expressed readiness to cast their ballots in the November 16th governorship election.
Done well. I have not wasted my time.
Accreditation started around 8:30 and the people came out. Many of the people have done their own before they go back to their houses.
I am well satisfied with the process. By God's grace, I will come out for election.
The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, who encouraged voters to come out en masse to exercise their civic responsibility, also assured them that the Commission has adopted proactive measures for a seamless electoral process.
As we have been assured by the EOs, and as we have seen the level of preparations made, we will ensure that all the polling units open on time so that voters will not come and wait for INEC officials and materials.
The Commission's team also visited Ileolu, Giokegbo, Idore and Ondo East local government areas to inspect the non-sensitive materials received so far. In Akure, Ifeoluwa Omoshule, NTA News.
Elsewhere, the federal government is strengthening forces with key industry players in the oil and gas sector to ensure permanent relief in the production chain and daily supply benchmark of petroleum products to all Nigerians. Director General of the Confederation of APC Support Groups, Professor Kilani Muhammad, was speaking during a media briefing against recent protests at the NNPC towers aimed at discrediting innovative reforms of Mele Kyari in the nation's oil and gas sector.
If landing cost is 1,000 and they are selling fuel to Nigeria at 620 naira, who is shouldering the gap? It was NNPC, and they said it cannot shoulder it anymore, and that was why they deregulated NNPC finally, the downstream, for competition. Kyari ensured that Nigerians access fuel at 620 naira per litre for over a year, despite landing costs exceeding 1,100.
The support group say some of the transformation around the sector are geared towards discouraging monopoly and creating a free enterprise environment that will promote competition. The DG says the AKK pipeline project is also a thriving effort at achieving utilization of gas resources as alternative energy to fuel and put ailing refineries on track to optimize product capacity. We've got a sportsman here, Badi Adeleye. Badi, what's the latest?
Many thanks, Yara. Let's begin with this good news when it comes to handball. As Nigeria's under-18 handball team were crowned champions of the IHF Trophy African Men Continental Phase on Wednesday, following their 30-26 victory over Guinea in the final in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Christian Foloke, who shook off the knock he had in the semi-final match against Cameroon, and top star Aziz Suleiman led the team to score important goals and defended better against the Guineans to win the match 38-26 and retain the title they won at Congo-Brazzaville 2 years ago. Let's turn our attention to football now, as reigning African Footballer of the Year, Victor Osimhen, is back on national team duties after being listed in Coach Augustin Eguavoen's 23-man squad for the concluding rounds of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Benin on the 11th of November and Rwanda on November the 14th. The list also has regulars like Ademola Lookman, Moses Simon and Captain William Troost-Ekong. A first call-up has been handed to home-based defender Victor Collins, gangling Real Sociedad forward. Sadiq Umar makes a return, while France-based defender Gabriel Osho has a chance for his debut after his inability to honor a first call-up in the summer due to injury. Now, House of Representatives Committee on Sports has advised the Nigeria Football Federation to always include the salary of Super Eagles coach in its annual budget provision for easy payments by the federal government. This suggestion was made to the leadership of the NFF on Wednesday during the committee when the committee met on a sports interactive meeting with the Football House. The idea, they believe, will put an end to the incessant delays of payments of Super Eagles head coach. Now, former General Secretary of the Nigeria Football Federation and seasoned sports administrator, Fani Amon, has called on sports stakeholders to support the administration of Shehu Diko as the chairman of the National Sports Commission. Amon, the 1993 FIFA Under-17 World Cup Championship winning coach, during a media interactive meeting with sports journalists in Abuja, also advocated peace in the Nigerian sports industry, calling for an end to infighting.
Warring factions to shape their swords for peace to reign, which I have commenced in the past weeks, that the sports ministry was scrapped with the appointment of Mala Shehu Diko, the new sheriff in the sports community, as the chairman.
All right, let's end now with the latest coming from the UEFA Champions League. You have it there. The two matches that ended earlier, Shakhtar Donetsk winning 2-1, and of course, Club Brugge beating Aston Villa, their first defeat, in the group phase this season. Inter currently are leading Arsenal 1-0, PSG and Atletico 1-0, and of course, Barcelona are leading 2-1 away to Zvezda. And that will be our beat on sports. Let's now return to Yere.
Many thanks, Badi. Of course, that's our bit on News Extra tonight. Many thanks for watching. Have a good night.